from a peer-to-peer as money, as decentralized peer-to-peer digital cash type money situation. Public addresses are confusing. Managing, am I sending to the right person? Was there a man-in-the-middle attack? And so in a nutshell, what we provide with the protocol is a usability layer that sits above all crypto transactions. So it doesn't matter which token you're transacting with, doesn't matter which chain you want to use, within the wallet or exchange that is FIO enabled, you can have this really great user experience. And it's not just sending of crypto, it's also requesting or receiving cryptocurrency, which again is I think really important, because in the traditional financial systems, no one just sends you money randomly. There's always a request for funds. That crypto handle, which is an NFT, I can request funds from someone. And in that request, encrypted between the two, I'll specify the chain code, the token code, the public address you should send to, the exact amount, with all the decimal points and all that craziness, and in a memo too. So you can actually be your own bank and have metadata about that transaction.
All right, it's your boy Crypto Blood, and welcome to another decentralized show here with EOS Detroit, also known as now Detroit Ledger Technologies. My guy, Luke Stokes, he's actually been with us. We did a live event with him about a month ago, right, Luke? It was really great. Really appreciated you coming on, and you helped the crowd set up on the FIO network, and just was amazing seeing people utilize this protocol. Let's talk about you first, though. You're down in pretty beautiful Puerto Rico. I'm jealous. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks again for having me on. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's. I feel sometimes a little guilty, like being on just this amazing hike in the El Yunque rainforest recently. It was like 3-hour hike to get in, this incredible infinity pool. I put all these pictures up on Facebook, and I'm realizing in the back of my mind, like, yeah, some people are shoveling snow right now. I mean, that's a different thing.
So where are you originally from?
I'm from Huntington Beach, California. So I grew up surfing, grew up on the beach. I'm used to that kind of great climate. But I actually went to school in Philadelphia, so I kind of know what the snow's about. I was a pole vaulter there at UPenn, and got to kind of get a sense of that whole Philly cheesesteak world.
Right.
And then I went back to Southern California, and then my family, we've lived in Nashville, Tennessee for almost 13 years, about 12 and a half years before we moved here to Puerto Rico. And we've been here just over 3 years. So I've got my wife and 3 kids. They're 8, 10, and 12, and they're just amazing.
So did you move down there because of the blockchain ecosystem? Was that your primary move to Puerto Rico?
I would say you could view my pictures of the rainforest to know, like, that was a big part of it also.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, the tax incentives that are available, such as I pay 4% corporate taxes and I pay no capital gains tax. That's obviously awesome for people building crypto businesses and are believing that the crypto value is going to go up in the future. So capital gains is a big expense. And also too, just from the idea that I like that I get to choose what my money goes to support, as opposed to, a majority of it going to a federal government system that might be doing things I don't support. So I liked having that control of my own value. I like that it's an amazing community here. The people are beautiful. The weather is beautiful. The island is beautiful. It's really just a paradise. It's funny how many people come to Puerto Rico and never end up using their second part of their round trip ticket. They just stay. So I highly recommend anyone want to come out, include a Monday. So you can come to Crypto Mondays, great community there that meets in San Juan area or Condado, around that area. It's paradise. I'm really happy to be here. There's another life maxim that says you want to live where other people vacation. And that's a great way
I like that. Yes, indeed. So, you talked about the tax benefits of moving down there. Before we get into the actual FIO protocol, I want to just, you brought this to my attention. Is that tax benefit still available for people if they're looking to move down to Puerto Rico because of the tech and what's going on in blockchain down there? Is that available? I thought that they changed some of the ruling, and people who moved before a certain time were grandfathered in. Can you talk to that a little bit?
Yeah. And again, super clear, I'm not a tax lawyer.
Right.
Advice on this, that stuff, but do your own research. But yeah, I would say that the rules get worse every year, right? So the Act 60, I got in when it was Act 20 and Act 22. Okay. It's now called Act 60. There are multiple provisions in Act 60, different things you can qualify for, and the requirements get more and more difficult each year, meaning you have to buy a house. I think now within 3 years, you have to hire a certain number of employees with your business if you're taking those benefits. And so it's always changing. I think the fees you have to pay might have gone up, but ultimately the the benefit of no capital gains and the benefit of lower corporate taxes are still there. And it's all about exporting. So the whole point is you're going to be exporting your services off the island, bringing in new revenue via your company, via your activities to the island, which is going to bring economic benefit to the entire island. And it's really, that kind of is the framework for it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Definitely, if you guys are interested in that, take a look at that. I remember when a lot of people, like even non-crypto people, Peter Schiff moved down there. You got Brock Pierce is down there.
My guy Brock like Pierce. Neighbors, actually. I've been
are they really?
Place where Peter's there, and it's super fun to.
You've got to be joking me.
No, I'm not even kidding. They did a debate at the Limitless conference during PR Blockchain Week that was phenomenal. Going back and forth between the two of them, it was so much fun. But yeah, I mean, you've got John Lee Dumas, which if you're in podcasting, he's out here. There's a lot of people out here that another one that a lot of the people that are into Ayn Rand will know. Jan Brook is out here. He's come to Crypto Mondays a number of times as a speaker, which is, it's really, if you're a U.S. citizen, it really is the best option for you. Other than like super complicated trusts and all these other things that are just sometimes not worth it.
Yeah. So let's talk about the main subject today, Luke. And we wanted to bring you on because you did such a phenomenal job at the meetup we had here in Detroit a month or so ago. FIO protocol. I say FIO. You say FIO.
Say like the
tomato.
Who started it. Yeah, tomatoes. The co-founders who started it, David Gold and Pablo Mostaz, they introduced it to me as the FIO protocol, the Foundation for Inter-Wallet Operability. So that's kind of how I've always said it, FIO, but a lot of people say FIO. I mean, if you pronounce it as the letters, probably FIO is more accurate, but I always say FIO. Because it's not like FEO, right? That would be FIO. But the reason why it's important, the reason why I'm involved, I've been in crypto for over 9 years now. I've got a background in computer science. I ran my own custom e-commerce company for 10 years. And I got into crypto in 2013. And the reason I look at this and say this is really important is that we got mass adoption coming to cryptocurrency. And it's really kind of hard to use from a peer-to-peer as money, as decentralized peer-to-peer digital cash type money situation. Public addresses are confusing. Managing, am I sending to the right person? Was there a man-in-the-middle attack? And so in a nutshell, what we provide with the protocol is a usability layer that sits above all crypto transactions. So it doesn't matter which token you're transacting with, doesn't matter which chain you want to use, within the wallet or exchange that is FIO enabled, you're going to have this really great user experience. And it's not just sending of crypto, it's also requesting or receiving cryptocurrency, which again is I think really important because in the traditional financial systems, no one just sends you money randomly. There's always a request for funds. And so we built that into a decentralized usability layer, the FIO protocol. It's an EOS-IO based technology where just using something like Luke at Stokes, that crypto handle, which is an NFT, I can request funds from someone. And in that request, encrypted between the two, it's an encrypted message between the two parties. I'll specify the chain code, the token code, the public address you should send to, the exact amount, with all the decimal points and all that craziness, and in a memo too. So you can actually be your own bank and have metadata about that transaction. And again, all that information is encrypted and private between just the two parties involved. So I think, to me, when I look at the adoption of cryptocurrency and blockchain, it's on this exponential growth curve. And we have a really important decision to make as a community to decide, okay, if we sacrifice decentralization for usability, like you're going to see with CBDC, centralized digital currencies, central bank digital currencies, then I think we're going to invalidate the entire purpose of why cryptocurrency and blockchain exist as a self-sovereign, decentralized, no third-party counter-risk ecosystem. And so what FIO's trying to do is like a decentralized way to provide that great experience.
I hear the early years of crypto in your message. I got in at 13 as well, and it was all about that, being self-sovereign, being your own bank, and we've gotten away from that a great deal, in my opinion.
I feel like we just need to be louder. Like the OGs have to be louder to be like, look, guys, don't forget the original message in the original block of the original blockchain that was talking about a central bank, bailout, right? The Chancellor Bank bailout. It's like you can't forget the value that is in no third-party counter risk. And I think what's interesting is the recent activities. You got what happened with the truckers in Canada. You got what's going on with the war in Ukraine. Like people recognizing, hey, if I need to flee the country, I can take my entire family wealth in a brain wallet in my head and walk across the border, right?
And even what's more profound to that note, Luke, I think it's even showing countries now that, wait a minute, if, you know, you can have your side. I mean, most of us agree that what Russia is doing is wrong. But you've got countries now saying, look, oh my God, they can just cut me off from the SWIFT system. Yeah. And now I have no access to the rest of the world. So I think it's great showing, you're right, like these scenarios that we've been seeing here lately have shown really the power in cryptocurrencies and leveraging it the proper way, not in the more centralized way, which a lot of the corporations and Wall Street and governments want to go, right?
I mean, if they can use, like, for example, in Canada, shutting off your bank account because you decided to contribute to a political activity that you agree with, you know, whether or not you personally agree with, it's the importance of giving someone the opportunity to express their political views by supporting something. Like, I feel like that's getting into super dangerous territory.
Oh, they went a step even further. What I heard, they were actually going around taking pictures of people there and then subpoena them, right? To say, show me your records that you did not support the truckers. So yes, it's very Orwellian. Man, it's crazy.
I happened to put this shirt on today. I forgot we were doing our interview, but this is like my
nice.
T-shirt. In the form of the anarchy A. And a lot of people think of anarchy as being, you know, this Molotov cocktails craziness. It actually means without archons. It means without rulers who are dominating your life. Right. That's what the word anarchy means, without that. And a lot of people have moved to the more friendly term voluntarism or voluntarist, because it more, I think, accurately communicates the message of we believe all human interaction should be as voluntary as possible. And the reason I am excited about cryptocurrency and blockchain, and in particular FIO protocol, is that this enables us to control and store our own value and enables us to interact anywhere in the world with anyone else without any threats of violence. And I can do it in a self-sovereign way without any rulers telling me what I can or cannot do. And I can do it in an easy way. That's the big important part with the FIO protocols. Like, if we don't make it simple, we're not going to get the mass adoption. We're not going to get people who are like, I mean, it's funny when you think about, you know, 100 IQ is the average. Half the people are stupider than that. Right. So, like, not everybody has the education, the financial background, the parenting they needed, or whatever, to be able to do complicated stuff. And sending and receiving crypto right now is too complicated.
Very complicated, and that's where FIO comes in. I want to talk about, you touched on the FIO metadata or data aspect of it. I'm very interested in that. I think the audience would be as well, because as you stated, you know, on the EOS.io protocol, which is what FIO is built on, you can send, or built from the original code, you guys forked it or whatnot and modified it, but you can send memos, right? But you guys take it a step further. Is that correct?
Ours are a little different. Actually, it's funny. The default EOS.io transaction method we've kind of disabled. I mean, it happens behind the scenes with transacting fees.
Right.
We created a separate method. You know, EOS send to public key. We have a couple improvements. So one of them is, one of the frustrations with EOS in particular is that you have to activate your account. You get a public private key, but then you have to activate an account on that key, and then you have to. So it's like, before you can get EOS, you have to have EOS to activate an account, which is just like, oh geez, terrible usability, right? So we were like, as a usability layer, that's not acceptable. So what we did is we made a very significant modification to our chain, in that it acts like a Bitcoin UTXO model, which is basically the idea that if you generate a public key, you can generate it offline, you can generate it wherever you want. When you have that public key and private key that goes with it, you can then send tokens to that key, and automatically on the FIO chain, the account gets generated and activated. So the account name on the chain itself, the actor as it's called in the EOS.io world, is almost irrelevant, because it's actually what it is we for the more technical people listening in, we hash the public key and we automatically come up with a one-to-one mapping to an account, and we generate that account, put it on chain, and it all happens automatically. So the fees associated with sending the tokens, or registering a FIO crypto handle, or registering a domain, or transferring one of those to another key, the fees involved in that automatically create the account. So the usability is much improved. And then the custom token transfer method we have has this idea of, okay, I'm going to include what's called record OBT data, other blockchain transaction data. So when I send a FIO request, which you got up on the screen now, I'm going to include in there some information about that request. So I'm sending a request to another FIO crypto handle owner. So like it would be somebody sending me a request to Luke at Stokes. It would use their public key and I would use my private key, and we would do a shared key, a Diffie-Hellman shared key, a derived key. And then that encrypts that message so that I have full confidence that, okay, the person I'm interacting with is actually the person I expect. Like I'm telling you right now, I'm Luke at Stokes. So if you get a request from anyone else that's not Luke at Stokes and claims to be Luke Stokes, you're going to be like, wait, I'm not so sure about that, right? So it solves that key sharing problem, but also gives that ability to have that message be encrypted and private between the two people.
So regarding the crypto handles, that's kind of the selling point, the main selling point for FIO, right? Or FIO. Are you worried about traceability and fungibility in that sense now that you have like a name with your account? I know you can make up any name, but talk to us about, for those maybe not as familiar with FIO, your anonymity aspect, that part of the protocol. Where do you guys improve on that?
Yeah, so one of the goals that we set forth in the beginning was we want to make sure that using FIO protocol doesn't take away from any of the privacy and security you get from not using it on the native chain. And so for the most part, Bitcoin, I mean, all of these non-privacy coins in particular, have the same privacy level. Like if you track all these transactions and you eventually connect it to some KYC exchange account, you're going to be able to figure out who the person is. So we don't really add or subtract from that. And as you said, I'm Luke at Stokes, but you could just as easily be Satoshi at Nakamoto. You could be a pseudo-anonymous handle. And you could, for example, one of the things that we do is with that crypto handle, you can map your native public addresses. So I can map an EOS account, a Bitcoin account, an Ethereum account to that handle, but I could also choose not to. And if I choose not to, then the FIO request would be the main way that I'd use that handle. And as I said, all that information is encrypted. Currently today, the FIO request does show that these two accounts interacted, but you don't know anything else. You don't know what chain it was on, what token was used, what amount was used, what the metadata was about that. That's encrypted between the two parties. So, and we also have a lot of FIPS. We're up to 40 something FIPS, and FIPS are FIO improvement proposals. And we've got FIP 5 and FIP 8, I believe, are two security enhancements that we spent months designing. The community hasn't yet voted to push those forward and put active development work into them. But in the future, we have some ideas and ways to make it even more secure so that, for example, instead of putting clear text public blockchain address mappings on the chain, I would actually only have a friends list. And so then, it would only be the friends list that I do. And I see you're showing the NFT signatures. That's another awesome feature I'd love to talk about too.
Yeah, let's roll right into that. I mean, I was really interested in that aspect. NFTs is now the new blockchain buzzword for 2022. But you guys are really using it in a manner where it's going to be useful for everyday applications for end users, right? Not just some pixels on a screen.
So the NFT crypto handle is an NFT as well. Plus the domain part is an NFT, which eventually I'm really excited. We have a lot of amazing features coming out, including wrapping your domains on the Polygon network so that you can put them on OpenSea and things like that. We also have a domain marketplace that's native to FIO that is going to testnet, I think, even in the next few days. So by the time this goes live, hopefully it'll be out there for people to test with. And so we've got some really cool ideas going on where the crypto handles themselves are NFTs and you control them with your private key. But beyond that, we have this NFT forgery prevention, the ability to sign any NFT. And today, you're right, it's mostly art, little pixel art, things like that, maybe some in-game stuff. But eventually, I think NFTs are going to be extremely important as they represent digital ownership for any asset in the world. And so it's going to be super important that when you're buying and selling and trading these assets, that you have a confirmation that the person you're interacting with is the real owner of the real thing. They didn't just make a copy of this digital asset or copy of this certificate of ownership and pretend to be the correct original owner who put that asset on the chain. And so what an NFT signature does with FIO protocol is I can create a digital asset, create an NFT, and then sign it on chain with the FIO chain with Luke at Stokes. And then when you go and you look at that asset, that signature includes all the information, the chain it's on, the contract address, the token ID, all the information you'd have, including a hash of the data and the URL for the data for that NFT. So it's similar to like a painting. You know, when you get a painting, there's a human readable signature there. The artist says, hey, I'm signing this, so you know this is an original. And it's a similar situation where without the human readable signature of Luke at Stokes, it can be very difficult for most users to understand, well, who really owns this? Like, can you off the top of your head say what the Beeple address is for his, you know, $60 million art or whatever? It's like, who knows, right? So, and a lot of people, they'll like link off to Etherscan and say, hey, here's how you confirm that it's my, and most people look at that and just be like, I just see hashes and gobbledygook, I don't know what's going on. So we think it's important to just make it more friendly and say, look, just because somebody claims this is a picture from this particular artist, how do you know they didn't just right click, save the JPEG and go mint it on some other chain, on some other marketplace? So you want to make sure that the art you're buying is signed with an NFT crypto handle. And anyone who's into NFTs watching the show, I would encourage you to talk to all your marketplaces, talk to all your favorite NFT artists and say, hey, you can help protect this industry. Go get yourself a FIO crypto handle, go start signing your NFTs, go talk to those marketplaces and integrate them, kind of like Unique.one has. Because if we don't, frankly, I think we're going to get a lot of government oversight. There's going to be a lot of regulation that comes our way because they're like, look, you guys can't self-regulate. So we're going to have to step in and make sure all this fraud stops, and because we're getting so many complaints from our constituents. Instead, I think we can self-regulate as an industry if we start using these protocols.
Well, come on now, Luke. It doesn't matter if we self-regulate to the fullest amount. They're going to come in and regulate.
They're going to definitely try.
They're going to try. Yeah, they're going to try.
It's like it's a non-violent tool for global consensus. It's a mechanism for us to self-regulate in a way that if they try to come in, the story becomes obvious. Then it's like, look, the emperor has no clothes. You can't regulate, but you're trying to anyway with your threats of violence. Where here we are cooperating non-violently together in a shared collaborative commons type environment, and we're making money, we're doing well. Like, I just think it's going to be really, really obvious at that point where people are going to be like, yeah, I'm going to go hang out with these guys. They know what's up,
Right. So we talked about mostly so far the kind of the B2C aspect of FIO. I want to talk B2B. You kind of sprinkled that in there with the NFT signatures and how that can be used by, different exchanges or marketplaces, I should say, in helping to validate NFTs. But what latest, I saw something on your Twitter, which I can bring up. You guys have a decent amount of Twitter followers as well, but you guys were talking about on your Twitter account an integration or partnership with AAX. Kind of talk about how you guys implemented FIO Send into their exchange. That was pretty neat.
Yeah, this is something that our biz dev team, if you go through our announcements channel on Telegram or our announcements channel on Discord, or you go through, like you said, the Twitter, you're going to see almost daily now. It's amazing how many integrations that the business development team's putting out there. We are going after wallets and exchanges to integrate FIO. And one of the ways that we do that is kind of the most simplest integration of FIO protocol is just FIO Send. And what that means is when you go to an exchange and it's like, hey, I want to withdraw my tokens. It's like, okay, where do you want to send them? Now at these FIO enabled exchanges, you can, like AAX, you can just put in Luke at Stokes, for example, and it'll do the lookup and say, okay, is there a Bitcoin address mapped to Luke at Stokes? Okay, there is. Cool. I query the chain, I get the Bitcoin address, and now I can go ahead and send the Bitcoin just like I always would. But the experience for me is really nice. I don't have to worry about, oh no, did I copy and paste the wrong address? Because I've actually done this. I've actually made this mistake before where I'm copying and pasting the wrong information. I had a situation where I sent tokens to, it was in the top of my list of my whitelisted addresses on one of my exchanges. And I added a new address, I whitelisted it, refreshed the page, make sure it was, and I just copied and pasted the top one. I didn't realize it was sorting by date the wrong way. I had made an assumption that the one I just added would be at the top. And it was literally an address I had not interacted with for like 5 years. And I was like, holy moly, I just lost my money. What the heck did I just do? And I had to dig through all my email and do all this sleuthing to figure out that was actually someone I knew. And it was a weird situation because it was like some exchange account. But they were able to, it was a super cool story in that they sent me the money back, which was awesome.
That's great.
But it was really one of those things where I'm like, dang it, this is the exact situation I'm trying to prevent. With FIO protocol, if this exchange had been properly integrated, I could have just put Luke at Stokes and I would have had zero worry.
No, that's great. So you've integrated with AAX. What other companies have you integrated FIO Send with?
Do you have the ecosystem page up? That'd be a great page.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's scroll through that really quick. One of the integrations that I'm really excited about that just announced is the Opera browser. Which is the Opera browser is millions and millions and millions of users. Yeah, this is the page I was talking about. You can get to this from the FIO Protocol website. We're always keeping this up to date with all the so we got Bitcoin.com, we've got Edge Wallet, which is phenomenal. We've got a whole bunch of different wallets and exchanges. As we mentioned, Opera, pretty excited about that. You can get an @Opera crypto handle there, which is pretty cool. Infinito is another great wallet. So there's all these different integrations that we're working on constantly and helping them, incentivizing them, encouraging them, helping them. We got
Shapeshift, huh? Okay.
Yeah, Shapeshift has had a great integration for a long time. Konomi, Trust Wallet also supports FIO Send as well. So we're constantly working as a foundation and as a group of active worker proposals to increase the number of, kind of like in the network effect, Metcalfe's law type deal. The more people that use and integrate the FIO protocol, the more valuable it becomes for everybody. And so it's important to us to continue talking to different wallets and exchanges, showing them the value of this improved user experience, showing them how for exchanges in particular, cuts down on a lot of their costs when people accidentally send Bitcoin Cash to a Bitcoin address, for example, and they have to do these really expensive recoveries and extract those funds out and get them back to the right user. Or they have situations where their customer support is just overwhelmed by people, sending the wrong addresses and making mistakes on their withdrawals or deposits. So it's something I think, again, is really important just for the whole ecosystem. And I think any business in the crypto space that values usability, I hope we'll see that.
Yeah. Speaking of Shapeshift, I love the pivot they made last year. So I know you were excited about that. They kind of explains to the audience what they did, because that goes to what we talked about earlier.
Yeah, no, it's super exciting. So you're probably familiar with the term DAO or DAC, Decentralized Autonomous Organization, or Decentralized Autonomous Corporation, Company, Community, Consortia. I had the privilege of watching that a little bit from the sidelines as it was happening. Eric Voorhees used to be on the board of the organization, the centralized organization that built the first version of the protocol, and ended up, selling it to the nonprofit Cayman organization, the FIO Foundation, and that's how that all played out. So we've been kind of very familiar with the whole Shapeshift team. We had a strategic call with them actually a few weeks back, and we've had different meetings where they've talked about how they've done that, and they've put it all up on their website, which is really cool. And essentially, they started as a centralized company, and they've fully decentralized. There's no entity anymore in charge. They do everything through work streams, which would be kind of like your development work stream, your messaging or marketing work stream. And then they also have bounties as well. So you can go and, fix some issue, submit a pull request and say, hey, I'd like to get paid in a bounty format. So very, very excited about that. Every conversation I've had with team members there indicates that it's gone really well. I actually got to see Eric recently at ETH Denver as well. We were both in the VIP lounge. He just happened to be behind me. We had a great conversation about how it's going. Really excited about that. I think they're paving the way for a lot of organizations that are just like, you know what? This is all owned and operated by the community anyway. I don't want to deal with a specific jurisdiction and whatever rulers want to inflict on my community. I'm going to go ahead and just fully decentralized. So very, very excited to watch that and see how it goes. I think in the past, there's been concerns about joint and several liability from a legal perspective if you don't have a legal entity. A lot of DAOs have this kind of legal wrapper,
right?
Including many others. EOS DAC that I was involved in from the beginning that helped launch EOS Chain. We had Dakoko as a legal wrapper. Like, our lawyers told us that these things are important. Yep. But one of the interesting things talking to Eric was like, there's no case precedent to have that level of fear. Like, name a single DAO that has had this happen with the joint and several liability in particular. And the idea with that is that if you have all these people and it can be described as an association, and a jurisdiction might come in and claim them and say, hey, we're going to say that you fall under our jurisdiction. And then one person in that group does something bad, but another person in that group has a lot of money, let's say, and maybe they're legally exposed. Well, in theory, with joint and several liability, you can sue the rich dude because somebody else did something bad, because they're an association. That's the theory as to the risk of a DAO model not having a legal wrapper. But to his point, and I think it makes sense, it's like, I think that's just, at this point, an ungrounded fear. And if they tried to do it, I think people would push back and be like, that's ridiculous. This person did something bad, hold that person accountable. That's the entire point of a DAO. It's decentralized individuals participating together.
So does FIO have a DAO? Or a DAC?
We operate as we call it a decentralized autonomous consortia. It's not as autonomous as I'd like it to be, but we're moving that direction. And what I mean by that is that first you have the chain level where all the token holders participate in the governance. They can stake their tokens as well and get rewarded for this, but they vote or they proxy their tokens towards the block producers that secure the network. So that's one level of how the protocol itself operates in a decentralized way. And then you have the actual foundation as well, the Cayman nonprofit. There's also a BVI that we interact with that essentially the board member made up of that, who are on a multi-sig for the community treasury, their membership is influenced by the token holders, not directly voted for, but they can actually have a straw poll vote and then submit a requested list of people that they want to be on the board to the existing board members. And under the Cayman law and everything, that works out well so that they can submit and say how they want to make those changes to the board. But the whole idea being is that we want to empower the token holders as much as possible. We also have a steering committee that evaluates the worker proposals that are open and available to everyone. So if you want to help contribute, you can go to FIO Protocol website, you can go into our community wiki, and you can read all about our worker proposals, our opportunities, and our initiatives, and you can submit a proposal yourself if there's some skill that you have and you want to add value to the ecosystem. And then the steering committee comes, evaluates that, we negotiate the value we think that is as far as using the community treasury for that effort, and then we can activate that proposal. And each month you submit proof of deliverables and you can get paid for the value you've created for everybody. So it's kind of neat the way it operates in a very transparent, open way.
No, that's great. We're working with you guys, I think, on some things as well with that worker proposal environment. And, to top it all off, a lot of people, it is what it is. We're in crypto. They look at a project and they just look at the price of the token, right? They look at the market cap and they say, well, this is undervalued or this is overvalued. Why do you think today I'm not trying to pick on any particular project, but I'm going to pick on a particular project, Cardano, with $1 billion market caps, and they don't have nearly as much utility as a FIO protocol does. What do you think is behind I don't know what you want to call it, like misalignment in resources with these crypto protocols, these blockchain protocols? Why do you see that big difference?
It's a great question. And again, I'm just going to be extremely clear here. FIO protocol is a utility token. It's not a speculative investment. It's not a security. But to that point, and I have friends in Cardano. I'm not gonna beat up on them too badly. But a lot of it is they price in some future perception of value combined with, big token sales, right? Like when you do big ICOs and things like this and you raise a bunch of money, you not only get a huge gigantic treasury, but you get a bunch of committed investors who are now pushing for your project to win. And so then you get a lot of hype. You get a lot of people that are like, all we're going to do is show our bags because, otherwise what the heck? And so whenever there's anything, whether it's an NFT marketplace or some kind of something that is utilizing the protocol, it'll sometimes get an overabundance of news and information about it. Now, that said, from what I hear, they are doing some cool stuff in Africa as far as Cardano and identity systems. I do think I do own some Cardano. I do think it's an interesting project as far as like the academic level of rigor they put into their contracts and things like that. But more specifically to your question, I think there's this difference between speculators and those who actually want to invest and those who care about utility value.
Would you say that we currently probably have a 80-20 within the blockchain industry, meaning 80% of the activity is speculation?
I wish it was 80-20. It's like 95-5.
Okay, I was being nice. All right, you're right. I agree with you. I agree with you.
I actually did a post about this years ago. I did a blog post where I was like, speculators fear utility. And the point of that post was I started listing out projects like, for example, BitShares. BitShares was providing incredible utility value.
Sure was.
DeFi before DeFi was anything.
It sure was.
And then you have, the BAT token, which was doing a cool new advertising model. You had the Steam token, and now it's the Hive token, where you could actually, decentralize social media and you can publish whatever you want on a blockchain. You've got FIO, you've got like a limited number of, in my opinion, very high utility value tokens.
Yes.
And they're delivering the value right now that they're promising on. And so I think what happens is people look at that and they say, okay, that's cool and all, and that provides this level of value. And so you might do a 3x, a 5x over a certain period of time. I'm going to compare you to other market verticals or other competitors within your market vertical. And I'm actually going to compare you to additional service providers in that value field that are not on the blockchain. And all of that takes place with the rational part of the brain of an investor. When it's speculation, it's like, we don't know what's going to happen in 5-10 years. Maybe I can 100x. Maybe I can tell a cool story. I don't attach it to something that's very concrete. So therefore, it's a different part of my brain that makes that decision. And they're just like, to the moon, So the flip side is like, why do you stay in a utility token if you can just like flip it to some Shinu, Ibu, whatever dog token and make your 10x, 20x, 100x, and then get out the next week? And my answer to that is, what do you care about? Like, how are you going to create a world you want to live in? Is it going to be volatility and pump and dumps all around you? Or is there going to be great technologies that work and are here for the long term? So for me, I invest and I participate in projects and services that I think actually help create a world I want to live in. And part of the challenges we face with that is that, again, because of the US regulations and restrictions in terms of, how people view these different projects, we're never going to talk about, FIO as like this investment, whereas other projects are fine to show their token. They're like, dude, go ahead and like pump it to the moon. And, and you see some people getting in trouble with the SEC and things like that for doing that, because it really is. If you're taking that route, you're a security, and investors should have some protection that is reasonable, right?
Yeah. Speaking of that, fairly new situation. You got Coinbase being sued for over 79 different security. Well, they're calling the people suing Coinbase are calling it security. So to that point, we'll see what happens. But regulation is coming, and I really think actually what's going to happen, Luke, is that when regulatory agencies really figure out, we've got the Biden EO that just came out, and so they're going to get together and figure out how they can squeeze all the common folks out and let themselves get a piece of the pie. But when those things come down, I think you're going to see the utility tokens do much better, because it's going to wash out all the speculative behavior, at least here in the United States. We'll see what happens.
I hope so. I think, and again, I'm not against speculation in general. I think that's happening a lot right now because our money is broken. I was having a great discussion about this on Facebook today, actually, where people are talking about the price of housing. A lot of these assets, houses, gold, stocks, they've been monetized. And there's this process where they're going to demonetize these assets, and they're not going to have a premium on them based on people using them as a store of value, using them as a money where they can store money and have it available for later, because Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies that are actually functioning as real money they're just so much better. They're not illiquid like a house would be and things of that nature. So I think you're going to see a big reset as far as there's going to be what some might call deflation in the housing pricing and things like that. Whereas because it won't be used as money anymore, and you'll have a better form of money. Nobody wants to stay in fiat because you got trillions of dollars being inflated into that. Your purchasing power is going down. You got people like Michael Saylor telling the Bitcoin story of like, hey, here's the reason we're going into Bitcoin as a company. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. And I think speculators and those who are participating in trading and things like that, it's easy to get frustrated with them when they have these, irrational, exuberant prices on stuff they're messing with. But at the same time, they're creating price discovery. You do actually need that price discovery to say, what is this thing even worth? What do people believe? And come to this kind of shared consensus about that. So I am excited about projects that are positioning their community treasuries and things of that nature to be able to be around for the long term, projects that are involving their participants, the token holders, the block producers, the integration partners like we have with the technology provider ID, the TPID rewards. So we have a decentralized economic model that rewards all the people participating. And when I say we, I mean literally the chain. It's built into the chain. So when fees come into the chain, they get split to the different people, the stakers who are voting to secure the chain, the block producers who validate the chain, the technology provider IDs, which would be the wallets and exchanges that integrate FIO protocol, get paid. And then the foundation gets 5% as well. So we can continue to make sure that we're bringing people on board and providing worker proposals and bounties. So I think it's a good model. I think there's a lot of value here. I think the team has done an amazing job. And it's just a matter of kind of saying, okay, how do we do a better job telling the story? So once again, I super appreciate you having me on the show, because that's part of what we need to do better, is just letting people know, hey, we're here. We're coming up here on, by the time this airs, it might be the 2-year anniversary, March 29th, I think it is, 2-year anniversary of FIO protocol. We've been cranking as of mainnet launch, doing very well. Yeah,
nice. And before I let you go, I do want to show the audience this dashboard. Let's talk about this dashboard and how you can utilize it to create your custom handles, your crypto handles.
We're really excited about this. We worked on this as a team for over 2 years. It's probably the easiest experience for getting yourself a crypto handle or purchasing a domain, anything like that. And the idea behind this was essentially, we're a consortium of wallets and exchanges. And the idea was that it can be sometimes difficult when we work with a project, and you can go ahead and run through an example, and it's a whole cart. Like if you put in a username, at Moon, it'll walk you through the whole experience. But essentially, we don't control the experience on another wallet. That's a separate company. They do their own integrations. And when we do marketing campaigns and things like that, it was difficult to get people to recognize the whole experience of saying like, okay, how do I go about getting this experience to happen easily? But now we have full control of this experience, and we can onboard people super quick with a great user experience and just like a traditional shopping cart that they're used to. And we're pretty excited about that, because we can then do marketing campaigns. We do things where we send people to a URL and they can get up and running very, very quickly. And then eventually, the idea being, once they understand what a FIO Crypto Handle is, they get their own custom domain, like I have the Stokes domain, then they can transfer those out to different wallets that they want to use. So if they want to use Edge wallet, they want to use the Shapeshift wallet, they'll be able to transfer that crypto handle or that domain to those other members of the consortia. So pretty excited about the dashboard. We think it's going to open up a lot of opportunities for our team and our community to promote FIO, and also kind of give somebody the chance to play with something before they have to download it. Another example I think we talked about previously was the Ulti.com, the Ultibot. It's another integration with Telegram and WhatsApp, where again, if you already have WhatsApp installed, you don't have to download some new wallet. You just click that green button there where it says WhatsApp, and then you go right into, you do that on your mobile, and it'll go right into your WhatsApp. You send the preformed message, and then you do /FIO, and you can actually create a crypto handle right at the Ulti domain. And this is a way that you can start sending and receiving crypto right in your WhatsApp app. Really excited about this integration. We're just starting to do some marketing around this and promote it to our community. We haven't even really gotten started with that. So just, again, ways to make crypto easier, whether it's through the dashboard or a bot in a chat app you already use, just kind of making it available for the masses, I think is going to be really important.
Well, there you have it, guys. Luke Stokes from FIO Protocol. It's been a pleasure having you on. I'll definitely have to get you back on the Decentralized show here in the future to give us updates on what's going on with the FIO Protocol. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. We're going to be doing more of these types of interviews on the channel. And let me know what you think about FIO. Sign up, get yourself one of those handles, crypto handles. I think that's like one of the best things that we see here in the crypto space. We need that, get more people involved at a very low level, right? So again, like, share, and subscribe, and click that bell to receive more videos like this. We're out of here, people. Thanks.